You've probably heard by now, Will Taylor, wide receiver for Clemson, has left the football team so he could focus on baseball. We're going to talk about that, give some analysis. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you are subscribed, thank you. If you could like this video, it would help the channel grow, and I'd appreciate that. So let's talk about Will Taylor. He leaves the football team to focus on baseball. First off, I think it's the right move. I've thought that all summer. I kind of expected it, to be quite honest, especially when they were in the scholarship crunch and they had, quote, too many guys on scholarship at one point. They were saying 88 guys on scholarship. It just made too much sense. And he had a strong baseball season, but what is important to remember is that they were talking about him being a first-round pick out of high school, and he chose to come to Clemson. If you're a first-round pick, very rarely are you skipping that money to come to college. So just for some kind of reference to ground what that really means, Dylan Head, who was a Clemson commit, was drafted 25 overall, first round, by the Padres. The slot value, so the basically suggested amount for that pick, $3.17 million. He might negotiate a little better or a little worse, but $3.17 million for Dylan Head, give or take. We'll see what it comes out to be, but I imagine he'll sign. Samuel Stafura, who is another Clemson commit, a shortstop out of New York, he got picked by the Reds at 38, and the slot value there is $2.26 million. So if Will Taylor was really a first rounder, he would have got something like that, maybe more if he was in the top 25. So just some context there. He needs to really have a breakout campaign in baseball, either this year or next year, because the difference between that and what you get in the 10th round is huge, right? So completely understand why he did it, support him for 100%. I think it's the right call for him. And really for Clemson athletics overall, if he's more focused on baseball and producing more there, that's more valuable than I didn't really think he'd be a huge contributor on the football team in 2023. But that does leave Clemson in a little bit of a precarious situation, as the wide receiver core has been beleaguered for 2 years in a row, and it could continue to be. And while I don't think it's a huge blow to Clemson football, it doesn't help. So let's talk a little bit about that. I guess first, let's talk about the situation with the scholarship allotment. So there was talk about them being, quote, over the 85 scholarship limit. And in a sense, they were. They had 85 scholarship players plus 3 walk-ons who were previously awarded scholarships. That's Philip Lorenzo, the long snapper, Dominic Thomas, the running back, and Hunter Helms, the quarterback. Now, do they earn those scholarships? Do they deserve those scholarships? Probably so. But were they promised them? No. So if Clemson was unable to give them those scholarships, it wouldn't have been anything unethical or anything like that. I think that implication is important to just lay out immediately. But Lorenzo's the starting long snapper. Dabo likes to give those special teams players who are actually the starters scholarship, so this is consistent with that. Dominic Thomas has really emerged as the third string running back. So it does make sense for him to get one. And with Chris Vezina likely redshirting, Hunter Helms could be you would hope he's the third string because you gave Paul Tyson a scholarship to be the second string, but he could even be the second string out of some of the chatter we were hearing. So if he's your backup quarterback, it feels wrong for him to not be on scholarship. So I would imagine those 3 take the 3 empty scholarships from Malcolm Green leaving, and Greg Williams, the defensive end, leaving the team. And so those 3 opened up. So they're at 85 now if you count those 3. So I'm not expecting them to bring in a transfer, but would have been nice to bring in a wide receiver transfer and cross your fingers for one more player, one more guy to leave. Because here's what we're looking at. So with a new offense, it's not really as much 3 different wide receiver positions as a wide receiver who stays on the right the whole time, wide receiver who stays on the left the whole time, and a slot guy. So if you think about just the outside receivers, here's who you're looking at probably contributing. So Bo Collins, you're hoping is the star on the outside. Adam Randall, you're hoping, last year he was not good. He was the lowest rated scholarship wide receiver on the team. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He was not good at all. But he was coming off that ACL surgery. He was a huge recruit. So you're hoping it was a injury kind of freshman, learning plus the injury situation. So you're hoping he could break out. So if Bo Collins and Adam Randall are your 1-2 and they're healthy all year, which is huge if, because Bo Collins has not been healthy all year, any year. And Adam Randall was, he's hurt last year. He looks great now, supposedly. I've seen some pictures. He does. But, counting on their health is probably risky business. And then you got Cole Turner. I'm actually really high on Cole Turner. I think that he is a deep ball threat. He's explosive. I don't know how consistent you can expect him to be in a redshirt freshman year, but I think he can be a difference maker that opens up that offense. So you got those three on the outside. After that, you're looking at freshmen. Noble Johnson, you got Ronan Hannafin, and you have Tink Kelly. Tink Kelly is probably not even going to be playing wide receiver this year, so I don't think you'll get much from him. And Ronan Hannafin was not an early enrollee, so I don't know how much you expect from him. But Noble Johnson, I think, is a guy that you really hope at least later in the year is coming on, because the depth's not there on that outside wide receiver position. So I'd expect him to be in the two deep of a wide receiver with Collins, Randall, Cole Turner, Noble Johnson. The slot's probably in a better spot because you have Antonio Williams. Antonio Williams is the best wide receiver on the team. I don't think it's particularly close. And so he's probably your starting slot guy. If they have problems on the outside, maybe they move him there, and they do move him around. And Brandon Spector is a guy who could play plenty of slot, or he is a slot, but he can get plenty of playing time. Spector hasn't been great, but the way he looked with Cade at quarterback was different. So maybe there's something there that gets unlocked, and maybe you could use Antonio on the outside more, and Spector becomes a reliable slot guy. Stellato is another option of the slot, but again, is he going to be healthy? I wouldn't bet on it, just like I wouldn't bet on a full season from Collins and Randall. I'd be even less willing to bet on it for Stellato. But cross your fingers there, because he was an exciting prospect when he came in. And then Tyler Brown out of Greenville. And I'll say about him what's interesting. I was kind of not against him coming to Clemson at all. He seems like a great kid, talented player. But the situation that the wide receiver room was in, to bring in him and Tink Kelly as third and fourth wide receivers, kind of local three-star guys, rather than using the portal, seemed long-term oriented almost to a fault. You need a wide receiver, given the situation we're talking about. You need one who's going to make an impact now, and I don't know if a three-star kid's going to come and make an impact right away. That being said, I watched his tape, and Tyler Brown looks like not quite as explosive or highly rated, but reminds me a little bit of Ray McLeod. They used him in the slot, but they also have him in the slot, and then he jumps back, and they do a little quick pass to him from behind the line of scrimmage, and he just makes a play. He's not necessarily going to go up and win a jump ball. He's 5'11", but he's quick. He's willing to go over the middle, and they use him in a lot of kind of gadget plays. So, you're probably not going to, he's not starting day one, but maybe he does make at least a little bit of an impact and alleviate some of the pressure on this wide receiver group before the year's over. The guy I'm really most excited about, I think it's the best pass catcher on the team, or at least the one I trust the most, is Jake Briningstool. It was disappointing that they got away from using him in Davis Allen last season. They did it at times, and it was very necessary. It worked. It took a lot of pressure off of a beleaguered wide receiver core. Now Davis Allen is off to the NFL, got drafted this year. So kudos to him. And Jake Briningstool, it's his opportunity. Could have such a big year. He goes pro after this year. And I think he's a guy that the offense needs to utilize as much as possible, even if that means breaking him out right, moving him out wide, and using two tight ends, which is something we begged for last year that we didn't get enough. So hopefully we see a lot of Jake Briningstool as a wide receiver, or at least a split out wide tight end, to kind of take some pressure off this wide receiver core. If there's one area on the team I'm concerned about most heading into next year, so wide receivers, he could alleviate some of that pressure. We need guys like Bo Collins. We need Adam Randall. We need them to stay healthy. If a Stellato could stay healthy, that'd be a bonus, but you really need Bo Collins and Adam Randall to be healthy. You need Briningstool to make an impact, and it's a comment on him, but it's even more so a comment on the offense being willing to do it, willing to use them. Other positions of concern might be defensive end, but I think wide receiver takes the cake, and I don't think it's close, because at defensive end, you could always move Peter Woods out to the outside. You could always even move Rook Ororo. If you watched our video with Quacking Tiger, he suggested moving Rook Ororo to the outside. So there's so much depth at defensive tackle. You can use that to help you at end. I think you've got to do that here with tight end to help you at wide receiver. So that's the news with Will Taylor. I think it's great for the baseball team. I think it's great for him. Slight negative for the football team, but it's really just highlighting a weakness that was already there. I don't think it hurts the football team too much, but it's just an area of need. And expected kudos to the 3 walk-ons who will get scholarships now. Thanks for watching. And again, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you are, please like this video. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks.